Hey folks, coming to you from the Dendrology Lab in the NC State campus. I want to talk about Picea rubens. This is our red spruce. And this is a species that unfortunately, we need to plant this on campus or at least in the Schenck Arboretum, but we don't have a live specimen of red spruce to show you, but it's a really important species. One that you really need to know because it is the spruce that is native to North Carolina. We did get to see Norway spruce on campus, but for Picea rubens, we're going to just show you and have you learn the cone. So you'll need to be able to recognize this species by cone. So in North Carolina, Picea rubens extends down from most of its ranges in New England and up into southern Canada, but its range does extend through and into the southern Appalachians, and it is the co-dominant species with Fraser fir in North Carolina. So it's a really important species, and I wanted to show you, these are the fruits. So these are the cones, and you can see that they're pretty small, right? Only about maybe 1.5 inches or so, and they have this pretty distinct reddish brown color, at least when they're fresh. So that reddish brown color is pretty indicative. And you can see that the cone scales are flat like other species in the Pinaceae. And you may be able to see, I'm trying to get the camera to focus on it. The cone scales are kind of rounded on the ends and they're smooth. They're not notched or fringed like they might be in other spruce species. They're not even very wavy. They're pretty kind of cupped and flat. And just to contrast that in size with Norway spruce, which we learned on campus, right? Norway spruce has these huge cones. These are not something that you'll mistake. So just a couple of other identifiers. So when you're up in North Carolina in the mountains, you would probably start seeing red spruce around 4,000 feet or so. As you get up through northern hardwood forest and into the upper elevations, those first evergreen trees you're going to see is red spruce. And the foliage is, they are held on little stigmata, so little pegs. If you feel the branches without needles, you'll see that they are, they're kind of gray-brown, but they're bumpy, and those little pegs are what the needles are on. The needles are single and they're angular, so you can't quite roll them through your fingers, and they are pointed on the end. So I always remember the pneumonic spruce is sharp to separate that from Fraser fir, because from a distance, this tree has got a conical shape, much like Fraser fir. It really takes some practice to get to be able to distinguish those two trees at a distance. But the cones are these little reddish brown cones. They're pendulous, so they hang down from the branches. And this is how you'll need to identify red spruce, right? So the color is good, the size, and then these, I'm gonna say, these are spruce cones. They look like other spruce cones, but the size is indicative, and certainly the range where you're going to find it. Last thing I'm going to show you, if I can do this as a selfie correctly, is Duncan's drawing of spruce, right? So we have the little cones here, and then this is kind of what the foliage looks like. So very dark green, evergreen foliage, and these little reddish brown crowns. Spruce is found in North Carolina, about 4,000 feet, ranging up to 6,000 feet, and then it's kind of replaced. The very highest elevations have just Fraser fir, but you'll see them in mixed stands in the southern Alps, and then it extends all the way up, and it's a much more common species in New England and then up into southern Canada.